It's not a stretch to say that the NFL world got a glimpse of the return of one of the best quarterbacks in history this week. Thursday Night Football headed for the AFC East and gave us Aaron Rodgers reestablishing himself at the very top, not just as an elite quarterback, but as a four-time MVP who might have sights on his fifth. This video is powered by BetUS, our sponsor all season long for Touchdown Kingdom. Don't miss out on their limited time offer of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on the next two. This is up to $2,000 and can be accessed with the code YouTube150. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Once again, if you'd like to sign up for BetUS, use the promo code YouTube150. Rodgers didn't just gash the Jets' most hated rival, he showed Jets fans the light at the end of a decades-long tunnel, the night they'd been waiting for since his arrival, and it was worth every second. Let's take a step back and turn the clock back to just over a year ago. A clear-minded Rodgers emerged from the darkness and announced that he wanted to play for the New York Jets, even though he was under contract with the Packers. After weeks of no news, the Jets in Green Bay were finally able to come to a deal. The AR-12, who will have his jersey in the rafters one day, was gone, and AR-8 was rising in the Meadowlands. Hype built for the new season, with people going so far as to project the Jets to win the Super Bowl. But in the first game of the season, the home opener against the Buffalo Bills, the unthinkable happened. On just the third play of New York's first drive of the season, replayed after a defensive penalty, Rodgers was sacked by Leonard Floyd, and his left Achilles tendon was torn. The season was lost, but the Jets maintained hope that with an excellent set of weapons, one of the best defensive rosters in the league, and a healthy, motivated Aaron Rodgers, the New York Jets could be more than just the NFL's little brother. Coming into this 2024 season, hype had reached even greater heights than it did last year, with the Jets being favored to win the AFC East going into Week 1. With a rebuilt offensive line, as well as a fully healthy Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall to complement number 8, how could Jets fans not be excited? The season started rocky with a loss to defending NFC champions, the San Francisco 49ers, but the team's potential finally began to show in Week 2 against the Tennessee Titans. In a 24-17 win where the Jets were down at halftime, Rodgers connected with his team, leading 3 scoring drives in the second half, a field goal, a 26-yard TD pass to Breece Hall, and a 20-yard rush by potential breakout rusher Braylon Allen. Rodgers wasn't asked to do much in the win, but he kept the ball safe, going 18 of 30 for just 176 yards with 2 touchdowns and no picks. His 98.7 passer rating was his best since Green Bay's 2022 Week 10 overtime win over the Cowboys. Momentum was established for the Jets, and Rodgers was back to being a positive force for the offense. But it seems that was only the beginning. If you didn't watch the Thursday Night Football game we're looking at today, we're not going to give you a full breakdown, but we definitely want to get into what happened on the Jets' scoring drives, as well as a couple other big takeaways. The beauty of the first scoring drive of the night was the death of an old criticism of Rodgers. While he had often been slammed for only throwing to 1 or 2 weapons he liked, his first ever touchdown drive as a Jet in MetLife Stadium featured completed passes to 4 different players, a target for 1 more, and rushing attempts from both of his running backs. Let's talk about some sports betting. My go-to for that is BetUS. Once you're in, you'll easily find all the pregame markets, parlays, and prop bets that you need. You'll even get 10% back on your net losses twice a year. So let's win some money. If I want to bet on some division winners, I just click on the football tab, scroll down to the NFL divisions tab, then find the bet I like. I am going to go for Aaron Rodgers' Jets to win the AFC East. So click on the number and specify your wager. $50 sounds good. Then click place my bets, click confirm, and there you go. Pretty easy, right? Enjoy a limited time offer of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on the next two. This is up to $2,000 and can be accessed with the code YouTube150. The trust it seems like Rodgers had established in his locker room looked similar to what he had on his Super Bowl run, when he had 5 receivers all sharing the spotlight: Jennings, Nelson, Finley, Jones, and Cobb. After that first scoring drive, the Jets completely took over the game, allowing only 11 yards before forcing New England to punt again. And if the first New York scoring drive had been impressive, the second was mind-blowing. 13 plays, 91 yards, 7 points, as Rodgers completed 5 of 6 passes for 72 yards before handing the rock to Breece Hall at the goal line for the score. The most impressive aspect of this drive, the run game faltered. Breece Hall was tackled for a loss twice, but not only did the Jets not stall out after either negative play, Rodgers converted first downs through the air after both of them. The final touchdown drive of the game came early in the third quarter and answered another major question surrounding a contending team. Can you grind a drive out? Unlike the first two scoring drives by the Jets, the big plays were limited. Rodgers spoke after the game about the work put in by the Patriots to limit Garrett Wilson, and New York was forced to take small chunks down the field until Tyler Conklin finally broke open an 18-yard gain to get them to the red zone. Taking that play out though, the Jets averaged just 4.8 yards per play as they drove 66 yards down the field, converting 2 third downs and utilizing 5 different weapons. 6 if you count Aaron Rodgers' legs. All in all, the Jets offense moved at will this week, with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen combining for over 100 rushing yards, while Rodgers finished the night with 281 yards, his highest since November 6, 2022 against the Lions. They kept the ball secure, giving away 0 turnovers and scored points in every quarter of the game. Through 2 games, the New England defense had shut down the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow, while also taking a good Seahawks team to the buzzer. They'd sacked opposing QBs 6 times and grabbed 2 forced fumbles. Christian Gonzalez has been making a case for one of the top corners in the league, alongside superstar DBs like Kyle Duggar and a resurgent Jabril Peppers. But against the New York Jets, a seasoned unit led by Belichick's chosen successor suddenly couldn't get their footing, and Aaron Rodgers was the reason. Rodgers only took 2 sacks for a total of 14 yards and had 0 turnover-worthy plays, according to Pro Football Focus. Even though the Jets only scored 24 points, the team looked solid the entire night. They converted 27 first downs, with 16 coming through the air. Last season, New York only averaged 9 passing first downs per game, with so many drives stalling out in anything longer than 3rd and short. They also went 10 of 15 on 3rd down, showing resilience and improved play calling from the much maligned Nathaniel Hackett. The magic of Rodgers' performance against the Patriots came from how much he elevated the team around him. Apart from the offensive line, this Jets team is almost identical to last year's, but last year's Jets scored less than 16 points per game, largely because of their awful quarterback play once AR went down. Everyone knew that a healthy Aaron Rodgers would be better than what New York had in 2023, but his performance elevated everything far above expectation. Beyond the offense, the biggest beneficiary of Rodgers returning to form was the defense. For the past several years, the Jets defense has been like an ace pitcher on a team that can't score runs. Everyone knew they were special, but it never translated to winning. Now, in a season with a real offense, a unit that has held opponents to less than 20 points per game for the past 2 years can put their team in a position to win every game on their schedule, even against contenders. Sauce Gardner can still eliminate a team's top receiver. Quinnen Williams and his brother Quincy fortify an elite front 7 that can limit any kind of offense. The defense is only getting deeper. Will McDonald IV, the 15th overall pick in the 2023 draft, had been coming close to earning bust status, but when starting DN Jermaine Johnson was set to miss the game with injury, McDonald led the Jets in sacks, QB hits, and tackles for loss. The Jets defense feasted, and for once, the offense delivered a complimentary performance. New York feels like a well-rounded football team because of the return of Aaron Rodgers, and that should be terrifying for the rest of the league. On Thursday Night Football this past week against the New England Patriots, Aaron Rodgers reintroduced himself to not just a former rival franchise, but to the world. The force multiplier was back, able to use not just his Hall of Fame control of a football, but his elite decision-making and ability to escape pressure were on full display against one of the better defensive units in football. It wasn't just Rodgers' confidence or the throwing, but his mobility seems to have fully bounced back from the Achilles injury. He was able to roll out and extend plays, and his speed looked very close to what it was before he tore his Achilles. The Jets are still playing him in a reserved way, but when he did take off and run, he did it without fear, which deserves a lot of love considering the nature of his injury and rehab. And the team around him responded. Even if this is the best we see out of Rodgers this season, an average of this kind of performance would create the best Jets team since the days of the butt fumble. If we drew out Rodgers' season stats as of week 3, he's on track for over 3,700 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. And those numbers include his awful first game against the 49ers. The rest of the Jets' schedule isn't easy, but there are only a few defenses that they'll face that look better than New England's. Maybe the Seahawks, Texans, and Rams. If Rodgers is able to produce at a level closer to week 3 than week 1 for the rest of the year, he should be a real contender for NFL MVP. While some of you might think that's extreme, look at the context of a pedigreed quarterback who was thought to be over the hill resurrecting a franchise like the Jets. New York had missed on every quarterback since Mark Sanchez, and Sanchez wasn't all that great either. Through his experience in the biggest moments, including winning a Super Bowl and playing with several other all-time players, Rodgers is the perfect leader for a team full of young talent who grew up wanting to be him. The Jets are a franchise whose fans have known nothing but failure and disappointment, but now they have a quarterback whose name they can chant as he steers the ship to victory. All signs point to the Jets finally mattering in the grand scheme of the NFL, and their signal caller is the reason for the season. When Aaron Rodgers said in his first presser with the Jets that New York's Lombardi Trophy from Super Bowl III looked lonely, most people brushed it off as arrogance or just boilerplate podium confidence. But suddenly, the Jets are in a position to make a deeper run than the franchise has seen in decades. For those of you watching who don't pay attention to the Jets, beating the Patriots isn't any random win. Before last winter, New York hadn't beaten New England since December of 2015, and last Thursday's 24 points was the most that any Jets team had scored against the Patriots since 2020. So this win wasn't just Rodgers' first home win that he finished in a Jets jersey. It was a sign that he is exactly what every New York fan hoped he would be when he announced his desire to play for them on the Pat McAfee show. The trends are bucked and the monkey is off their back. Even the way the Jets are winning looks different. The defense is going to stay as great as it has been the past few seasons, but they haven't looked 100% through 3 games. Despite this, the Jets have managed to win games on the back of their offense, instead of relying on Sauce Gardner and the Williams brothers to do all the heavy lifting. With the ability to win multiple ways, the Jets are actually in one of the best positions in the conference to make a Super Bowl run. The Jets now have the 7th best odds to hoist the Lombardi in most sports books, and that's not all fans getting overconfident. There's smoke to this fire. In the current state of the AFC East, anything is possible. The Dolphins are without a quarterback, the Bills are the weakest they've ever been with Josh Allen under center, and the Patriots aren't their boogeyman anymore. With a real chance to win the division, it would all come down to the playoffs. In terms of the other contenders, no team has looked unbeatable this season. The Chiefs have had 2 games end at the buzzer, the Ravens and Bengals are 0-2, and the Texans couldn't crack 20 points against the Bears. While the Jets aren't obvious favorites against the top-tier contenders, once you're in a single elimination bracket, anything can happen. When you have an elite defense, incredible weapons, and a Hall of Fame QB, however, anything isn't just possible. It's in New York's hands. But what do you all think? Does Aaron Rodgers have enough left in the tank to take the Jets on a deep run? Was this week against the Patriots just a product of them being bad on offense? Let me know in the comments. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Once again, if you'd like to sign up for BetUS, use the promo code YouTube150.